The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And good morning, everyone, to the Saturday brunch edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts, and to my right is a man who's playing a little hurt this morning, but he's pushing through. He's pushing through. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing this morning?
Doing all right. A little bit under the weather. I went cold-free for about almost 2 years. This is my first one in quite a while. I had a good run. What are you going to do? It is the season. The season for the colds. But other than that, I'm doing well. Don't have much planned after this except for watching football.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
How are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing well. You know, it's a cold, brisk morning in the Northeast. It's January. What are you gonna do? This evening, I'm planning on going to the MVP Arena to check out the 6-0 Firewolves indoor lacrosse team, and hoping that they'll pull off another win. They'll go to 7-0. And traditionally in the National Lacrosse League, if you start the year unbeaten, you have a pretty good chance of going to the championship. So we're approaching the halfway point. We're I'd say about a third through the season right now for the Firewolves. But this is a team I saw them back in December in their home opener, and it's a pretty good team to watch. So if you're in the Albany area looking for something to do tonight, get yourself down to the MVP Arena with your family and go watch a great team. Go watch a great team. You don't want to miss out. You don't want to miss out.
No, they're setting the Albany area on fire. See what I did there? I'm not going to attempt that howl. It would sound like some sort of Homer Simpson with the voice I got going right now. Who knows? Although maybe people like this better.
Yeah, you sound like Homer Simpson when he's a 12-year-old in the choir with an angelic voice, and Abe sitting in the audience saying, well, I'm going to be rich. This voice guy, angelic voice, I'm going to be rich. And all of a sudden his voice cracks and it changes. Hey, my voice changed. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of our discussion this morning, we want to remind you about our social media channels right down here below. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/@NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. If you're watching on Rumble, the replay on Rumble or the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel, we want to thank you for joining us. Leave a comment in the comment section. But if you're watching live, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our social media channels right down here below. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, the soon-to-be-departed Google Play, wherever you podcast. Rate and review. Leave a 5-star review if you please. And if you're on a platform where you can review the podcast, we'll even read it on the air. We did get a comment. I got to surf for the comment. I got it in the email. It was actually on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. But I'll look at that in just a moment. But before we do that, I just want to let you know this is a live show. And we've got a comment coming in from our brother Josiah saying, "Good morning, Dustin and Ryan. Good morning to you, brother Josiah. We appreciate you stopping by." But leave more comments. Engage with the show. We want your comments. And Dustin, I know you're feeling under the weather, but I know this sound is going to make you feel 10 times better after I play.
Oh, yeah.
We want your comments. We want you to engage with us during the show, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, and now Twitter. You can actually engage with us on Twitter as well. So if you want to engage with us, please do, as we focus on the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. And we talked on Tuesday about how the wild card round was kind of underwhelming, with the exception of one game. It was pretty underwhelming. So I'm hoping and praying that this round will be a lot more exciting, Dustin. I know how you feel, but that's how I'm feeling this morning.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I am particularly excited for Texans Ravens. I think that has the potential to be a good game. But yeah, I am for overall, I am hoping for just a better showing because there's nothing like hosting a wild card weekend as I do, and then it's just all the games are blowouts, and you're just kind of like, well, at least there's food.
Yeah, if you go to your local watering hole tonight, or tomorrow or this afternoon, uh, don't forget. Yeah, just be don't be too disappointed if the games turn to blowouts. But at least there'll be food and drink. Speaking
Mhm.
of which, speaking of Houston and Baltimore, they are the first game on the playoff docket. They'll be the 4:30 p.m. game this afternoon at M&T Bank Stadium. Baltimore is going to enjoying home field advantage, but I got a feeling about this game, Dustin, that Baltimore might come out a little flat with 2 weeks off. So, but again, and they're facing a Houston team that performed very, very well on both sides of the ball last week. So I want to get your impressions about this game. What matchup are you looking at that kind of piques your interest for this game?
Well, as always, I'm looking forward to the matchup between the two quarterbacks because
Mhm.
you have Lamar Jackson who is playing at an unreal level. I've spent the last probably prior to the playoffs, I spent the last 4 weeks apologizing to Baltimore for letting them escape under my radar. I also got some angry letters from Cal Ripken. I didn't think he had it in him, but he really part. Um,
I heard
but
I think you told me he spit on one of those letters.
yes, it's true. but but he but anyway, the two quarterbacks, you got the veteran who's a dynamic player. He can run, he can throw, he can do it all. He's showing that he could throw. A lot of people say that he could only run. Um, and you have the young rookie who previous to now has not shown any cracks in the armor. He's shown that he's ready for the big moments. Um, so I'm really looking forward to those two facing off. But I also there's so much to like about this game. The matchup that I'm really particularly interested in is Baltimore's running game versus the Texans' run defense, who, D'Amico Ryans has done a great job in improving the Texans' overall defense. But their run defense was gashed by Jonathan Taylor. Then they
Mhm.
rebounded and did a great job last week. Um, and now I want to see which version of that Texans run defense shows up. And I want to see if Baltimore can be effective running the ball. And the same goes for the Texans. I want to see how Devin Singletary does against this Baltimore defense, which I think also has slid under the radar. They are a great defense, and I think not a lot of people talked about them heading into the playoffs, but they are a big reason why Baltimore is where they are. Um, but there's so much to like about this game. You got Zay Flowers for Baltimore. He's been dynamic. Odell Beckham Jr. has showed glimpses of what he can be. They actually have some offensive weapons and in my mind, a clear number one receiver, which is something Baltimore has lacked for a long time. And then you look on the other side, the Texans, even without Tank Dell, they have people that can catch the ball. His name is escaping me, but the one receiver has been an absolute machine for the Texans. Um, why can't I think of his name at the moment?
I know who. Nico Collins.
Yes, Nico Collins, exactly. Thank you. That's
I
why you're the
forgot
best
his name
host in
on
the
Tuesday.
biz.
To be fair, I had to pick you up because you picked me up on Tuesday when I couldn't remember his name.
I know it's tough, and that is no slight to Nico because he has been unbelievable. There's just a
We
lot.
know you're big, and we know you're a big fan of the show, Nico.
Yes, you're watching this morning along with Cal Ripken. We mended the fences.
Yeah.
But There's just so much to look forward to this game. I'm really excited about this one, but I'm very intrigued by what you said because I think you might be right. Baltimore could come out flat. And with that, I cede it over to you because that's always the balance. Would you rather be the team that has to play their way to get there, or would you rather be the team that rests? So your thoughts, sir?
That's a great question. It's a great conundrum, especially in this particular modern day NFL, where you have the home. Yes, you have home field advantage, but sometimes home field advantage is not an advantage because you're not playing. You're not keeping true to your form that you got you to the dance. You get a week off, and yes, the rest helps. The rest is beneficial, but at the same time, the rest can turn to rust if you don't prepare quickly. So, as for me, I would rather have the home field. But when you're playing a team like Houston, who has been over the last month, and you can argue month and a half, has been one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're riding a quarterback who is shocking, who is exceeding expectations. Arguably, he's the best quarterback to come out of Ohio State in the most recent in previous draft classes. So he showed it, and he showed it last week. He threw that beautiful ball to Dalton Schultz to basically end the first half. Their defense came out and they absolutely destroyed Cleveland in the second half. They got after Joe Flacco. They forced him to make bad passes, make bad choices in terms of his passing, and he paid for it. And you've got an offense that is, yeah, it's missing its best receiver, but everyone's picked it up. The running game has picked it up. The Nico Collins has picked it up. Dalton Schultz has picked it up. This team's dynamic, and D'Amico Ryans is making them believe. On the flip side, because there's always a flip side to this.
Yeah.
The Ravens have been there before. Lamar Jackson's been there before. We haven't really seen his playoff resume shine. He's been okay in the playoffs, but I want to see what he'll do when he has the home field advantage, when he has the home crowd behind him at M&T Bank Stadium. I want to see how the secondary is going to handle this passing attack by CJ Stroud and the Texans defense, or the Texans offense. Baltimore has a strong front seven, but their secondary is can be a little bit suspect. So I kind of wonder what they've been doing all week to really look at game tape and see how they can force CJ Stroud to make bad passes. Because here's the rub with CJ Stroud. He threw 23 touchdown passes in the regular season and only 5 interceptions. It's a nearly 4-to-1. I think it's a 4.6-to-1 rate when it comes to TDs and interceptions. And great quarterbacks always have that kind of ratio. They're always going to have that kind of ratio. So I wonder how the Ravens defense is going to dial up the pressure on CJ Stroud, force him to get out of the pocket, make bad throws, do things that rookies are, quote, supposed to do. Because CJ Stroud doesn't do the things that rookie quarterbacks are, and I put in these in air quotes if you're on the audio side, supposed to do. Like make bad throws and try to scramble when you don't need to scramble. Because NFL is a different animal than college. And also wondering what on the flip side is good for the Ravens offense, how they're going to handle the Houston defense. And Houston's got a great run defense. They, as you mentioned, Dustin, they cleaned it up last week against the Browns, who had a two-headed running attack with Ward and with and Hunt. But they forced the issue against the Browns in that they stopped the run and they were forcing Joe Flacco to make bad throws. So the front four, especially of the Texans, is going to have to do they're going to face a much more mobile quarterback. Oh, sorry, an athlete. They're facing an athlete, not a quarterback.
Yeah. He's not quarterbacky. He's not
quarterbacky. So they're facing a not so quarterbacky quarterback in Lamar Jackson. God almighty.
I will take shots at that forevermore.
For sure. But Lamar Jackson is a totally different quarterback than what Joe Flacco is.
Yes. Oh,
And
100%.
he can, and God bless Todd Monken for transforming his game. Greg Roman, he'd been stuck in neutral with Greg Roman over the past 4 or 5 years since basically he came to town as a draft pick for the Ravens. But Todd Monken, I think, has revitalized his game and has revitalized this offense. And yes, they go through running backs. They go through running backs like I go through a pack of Oreos. And the fact that they'll just, if one guy gets hurt, there's another guy stepping up. And they signed Dalvin Cook this week to the 53-man roster. I don't know how often he'll get the ball this week or if he'll see the field this week. There were also rumors of Mark Andrews possibly becoming available, but John Harbaugh said, no, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait for this one. We're happy with what Isaiah Likely has been doing with this offense in his role as tight end. So I think you'll see him utilized a lot in the pass game. So the spread is 9. Baltimore is favored by 9 points in this game. I think this point spread is way too big. Mm. And I know we don't talk about the sports book side. We don't talk about the gambling side on this podcast because neither of us we don't really participate in it. We're not degenerates. we're not gambling degenerates. Sorry. Yeah, and I know other Belly Up sports hosts are saying, "Hey, I joke." But we don't really talk about the sports book or the gambling side of it because we don't really dabble in it. But
yeah, it's not our bag. It's not our bag. Every once in a while, I think about it though, especially with these DraftKings. I think to myself, I could get in there, use our promo, get a little extra cash.
That's right. Use our link dtng.co/bellyup150. Get $5. $5 deposit gets you $200 in bonus bets. Just saying.
Yeah. But I'm a little too conservative with my money. A lot of times I'm like, And
that's okay. I mean, if I do it, look, I do every so often I'll do a bet, but I'll bet small. I won't bet extravagant because like you, I tend to be a little bit more conservative with my cash.
It's
make some cash.
It's the old quote from the seminal movie, The Patriot, which, if you haven't seen The Patriot, go watch it. Is it Braveheart pretty much just redone? Yes. But in a colonial setting, is it historically accurate? No. Does Mel Gibson use strange language like "it does me good to see you today"? Yes. But the movie is fantastic. And in that movie, he says to his sons, aim small, miss small. That is the epitome of Ryan's gambling strategy.
True. You have to leave a little bit of cash for yourself. It's don't bet your mortgage on one game. Let's just put it that way. Don't bet your entire mortgage on one game. I see on the social medias Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports making all these gigantic bets. He put $1 million on Michigan to win the national title. It worked out for him. Great, good for him. I don't have that kind of scratch. I'm a thousandaire, not a millionaire. So
he's got that money though. He's got the money to do it, and he also that probably drove a bunch of traffic to Barstool. And he's got the pizza reviews, so he's doing just fine. He's got the One Bite app. They're selling hard seltzers. He's got everything going.
One bite. Everyone knows the rules except for that one guy at one time. So we're going to move on to the nightcap of today's action. It's Green Bay at San Francisco, 8:15 Eastern time. And I know a certain snowman who's going to be he's going to be doing an alternative radio call on his network, Snowman Multimedia. So looking for kind of a different alternative play-by-play, go check his stuff out. He does a great job. I get to do at the CFL East and West final and the Grey Cup with him this past November. That was a fun time. He's excellent in what he does. He's a very good craftsman, and I'm hoping and praying that he gets some sort of chance to do a bigger platform with a team and he does it full time because he's really great. He's really great. So check out his alternative play-by-play.
Yeah,
Green Bay,
and I know The Snowman's baseball knowledge, having him on the show when we did to talk about the baseball season, his knowledge
Hmm.
is off the charts, and
Yeah,
I think he'd be particularly great at calling baseball games for a team.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, speaking of our friend Snowman, he's a big San Francisco 49ers fan. We also have our friend Dave, who is I've put him in timeout for the show because it's fun to do on Tuesday's show. But Packers at 49ers, 8:15 nightcap. Dustin, what's your thoughts on this game?
Well, I don't want to throw any shade at the Packers, right? Their upset of the Cowboys was beautiful, you know. Um, they did everything right. They did exactly I said follow that Thanksgiving blueprint that you used to beat the Lions, and they did. Uh and they just I think Cowboys fans are still in shock. There's the Lone Star beer sales probably jumped 60% after the game, you know. Everybody was crying in their beer, to quote an old Screeching Weasel song. A little 80s punk for you this morning. But
Hey.
I think, to use an old expression that I always use, this is the game where I think the Packers turn into a pumpkin. I
Mm,
don't think they have weapons, to be sure. They have a running game with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. They have some pieces on defense. As much as Alexander confounds me sometimes, he is a good player. Um, Jordan Love has been doing amazing things. The rookie receivers have been showing up well. The rookie receiver and young receivers for the Packers have been showing up and making big catches and having big games. But with all that being said, facing the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey and Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, and then if you manage to shut them down somehow, don't forget about George Kittle. And then
George the
facing
Animal
that
Kittle.
and then facing that line with Nick Bosa and now Chase Young on the same line,
Hmm.
roommates reunited. That defensive line was a force before Chase Young got there, and now they're even more of a force. The 49ers have stumbled a little bit sometimes. They've confoundingly stumbled. But I just don't see a way where the Packers win this game. This game could go sideways quick
Yeah.
on the Packers. I don't give them much of a chance in this game. The 49ers are a different animal than the Dallas Cowboys. The 49ers, they have postseason experience. They have a lot of veterans on that team. I don't think the moment is going to be too big for them. Although the one thing that makes the Packers dangerous is they're playing with house money. A lot of people didn't
Hmm.
think they were getting into the playoffs. I view the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as much the same way when we get to that game. But this game, I think 49ers could win this one, and this has the potential to be a blowout. I'm hoping not, but I think it will be.
Yeah. We talked about this last week on our show. We talked about how if the Packers are going to have a chance at winning this game, their that last week's game against Dallas, their defense was going to have to step up in a big way. And they did. To their credit, they did. They forced an interception, which turned into points, and they forced an interception that turned into a taint, a pick six, or some people call it a pick six. I call it. Me and my brothers call
Yeah.
it a taint.
Yeah, we like the taint. Touchdown after interception.
Yeah, that's right. Get it right. Get it straight. But I don't think the Packers will catch the 49ers napping. The 49ers, I
No.
think, this is Kyle Shanahan. This is not Mike McCarthy, who, by the way, I wrote an article. I've been writing articles on Belly Up Sports like a madman
Yeah.
as of late. 6 articles in the last 2 weeks. I wrote my most recent article was about how Jerry Jones is unserious about winning and retaining Mike McCarthy. So please check it out at bellyupsports.com. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is not the Packers. I don't think they'll catch this 49ers team napping. Yes, they had a layoff. They had a 1 week layoff. They earned home field advantage, and they're facing a team that is not only statistically better than the Cowboys, but better prepared.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, Dustin, you have all those weapons on offense. You've got Brock Purdy who can throw the ball to Debo, to Brandon Ayuk, to George the Animal Kittle, and even Christian McCaffrey come out of the backfield, can catch a few
Yes.
balls out of the backfield. And they also have Elijah Mitchell who can catch who can get some yardage on third down. This 49ers team, and not only that, but they have a better offensive line too. They have one of the best. They have arguably the best offensive line in all of football. So you have not only that on that side of the ball, but on the other side of the ball, you have the 49ers defense, who, like you said, has that two-headed edge attack in Nick Bosa and Chase Young. Now Chase is chasing a ring. And you've got some of the best, and you have some of the best, one of the best front sevens in football, and you got one of the best secondaries in football. And I love how Jordan Love has been a baller the last month. I love the fact that he absolutely picked apart the Cowboys en route to a perfect quarterback rating last Sunday afternoon. It was 27-0 before Cowboys fans could sit down and say, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
But coming into this game, look, Green Bay could join the 2020 Buccaneers in starting every game on the road and going to the Super Bowl. But I don't see it this time around. I don't see them. Like I said, I don't see them beating San Francisco unless their defense steps up and forces plays like they did last week against the Cowboys. But the Cowboys are not the same team as the 49ers. The 49ers are better prepared. They're more disciplined, and they're just a better football team than the Cowboys are. So
Yes.
I think this game could get out of hand quickly if the Packers can't force a turnover, if they can't force a couple 3-and-outs, if they can't stop the run game, if they can't stop the pass game. And not only the run game, you can't remember, Debo's a gadget guy. I wouldn't say a gadget guy, but he's multifaceted in that he's both a great receiver and he can run the ball too out of the backfield on different plays that Shanahan draws up. It doesn't always have to be Christian McCaffrey running the ball. So, yeah, I think we're both in agreement. I mean, we're not gonna make predictions on this show.
Yeah.
We don't really do that. That's not our bag because the NFL is just any given Sunday or Saturday. But this game could be over very quickly if Green Bay doesn't play disciplined and they don't play and they don't play like they did last week with their hair on fire.
Yeah, but I just don't see, as you've detailed, I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I mean, that Dallas game, looking back on it, it was the perfect storm. If there was any team that Green Bay could have done that to, it was Dallas. Just because. But as you said, Kyle Shanahan is going to have he's going to have the Niners ready, and they are also going to be ready because I think the 49ers, and I've seen a lot of them because they're in the same division as my beloved Seahawks. They are the team that the rest, there's going to be no rust from the 49ers. They're going to come out hungry. They're going to come out to prove a statement and say, hey, like, we're still here and we are a force to be reckoned with. And, Jordan Love, as I said last week, he's officially made the leap. Hats off to the Packers because it looks like they're going to transition from Favre to Rodgers and now to Love. Clearly they know what they're doing with quarterbacks in Green Bay, unless Jordan Love just completely goes off a cliff, which I don't see happening now.
No.
But this is where their train stops. I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Still banned from the show, Dave.
Yeah. Hey,
right,
he won fair and square, or should I say his 11-year-old co-manager beat him fair and square.
His 11-year-old son also helped.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, but before we do that, we'll take a quick trip to the comments section. Our friends Sick Diggy from all the way from Norway, friend of the show, Sick Diggy says, "Happy Saturday, Ryan and Dustin. How was your Friday?" It was all right. I got to go hang out with some friends at the local watering hole and at the factory in Boston Spa. Shout out to the factory. Dustin, unfortunately, is a little bit under the weather. So
Yeah, I called into work for the first time in a long time because I just was not
wow,
feeling it. So,
wow,
so I didn't do much Friday. I'll put it that
yeah,
way.
yeah. Satma checks in with her obligatory sports ball comment and the pink hand wave emoji. Snowman checking in. We are just talking about him. Shout to Snowman. Says brunch time with the NCR Bros. That's right. Thanks for joining us, Snowman. We appreciate you stopping by.
Oh,
All right,
always.
we'll take our quick commercial break. We come back. We'll break down the Sunday slate of games. So stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. That's right, folks. Invader Coffee, which is what I am proudly drinking currently. I'm pretty sure Dustin is doing the same.
Oh, yes.
Great blends of coffee out there. Yesterday I ordered Bad Santa. It's still our holiday blends are still available. The Bad Santa, the Cookie Crumble, the Jolly Java. I got a bag of the Bad Santa. Also ordered a bag of the Break in Case of Emergency because I haven't had that in a while. I wanted to try that again, but I know it's a great blend, and I think you can't really go wrong with any of the blends they have to offer on Bitter Coffee.
No, I haven't had a bad one yet. I'm still working my way through the bacon bourbon one. I like it, but full disclosure, that is not one that I can drink all the time. It's a special occasion thing for me. The cookie crumble, still working my way through the cookie crumble. Always love the cookie crumble. The one I also ordered a bag of Break in Case of Emergency because I heard good things from you and I have not had it yet. So I'm excited to jump into that. And I have a bag of Bad Santa as well. I got a lot of coffee to drink. And then the one that I've been particularly waiting for, though, is the Donut Dealer blend. That one is not in stock yet. I really like that one a lot. But I have not had a bad product from Invader yet. We love this product. We know this product. We drink it daily. We drink it a lot. And use our promo code. It's fast shipping. Get yourself some delicious air roasted coffee.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Visit the link in the description, both on the YouTube side and the podcast side, and use promo code BELLYUP for 15% off your order. And again, we're going to tell you straight up, it might charge a little bit more for shipping, but it comes to your house. It gets to your house in record time, ready to drink. Whether you do whole bean, whether you do ground, it's great coffee. You won't be disappointed. And we haven't broken this out in a while. It gets the No Credentials Required seal of approval. Good old Puppers.
There he is.
Gotta bring him out more often.
Yeah. And plus, it's nice to see that green, wherever he is. It's nice to see that green. We have the snow. There are certain days I'm in the mood for snow, but it is very rare. And I like to not have to go anywhere. And I am not a skier. I know a lot of people that deal with the winters. Like my dad, he's always a classic. He's like, I'm trying to do an impression of my dad, but it doesn't really sound like my dad because my voice is the way it is. But he's like, if you find an activity that you enjoy in the winter, it's not so bad. Sage advice from my dad.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. All right. We're going to move on to the Sunday slate of games, starting with Tampa Bay at Detroit, 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And I'm going to look, we talked about the Rams and the Lions being the game of the week last week, and it really was. I thought it had the potential to be the best game of the week last week. I think this game, along with the next game we're going to talk about, they both have the potential to be very good games, if not great games, if not instant classics.
Yeah.
Let's hear your analysis about this game, Dustin.
Well, thank you for passing the mic to me, sir. I said initially that I felt like Tampa Bay was the other team that is playing with house money. In
Mhm.
this game, unlike the Packers 49ers, where I see it going one way, I am very afraid for the Detroit Lions, not because I don't think they can't get it done. Dan Campbell is going to have this team ready to go. He's going to have them all schemed up. They have offensive weapons. Jared Goff, we all know. We all know how well he has been doing. Jameson Williams has, he's started to come alive. Their running attack is good. Their defense, they had that high draft pick last year for the defense. He has been very good. The D end, his name is also
Oh,
escaping
Hutchinson.
me. Yes, Aiden Hutchinson. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, the
He was,
Rams couldn't stop him last week.
yeah, he was an absolute game wrecker, and I think that the Lions picked him fourth overall when I think they had the fourth pick when they picked him, and he has lived up to it, to be sure. But I there's something about this Tampa Bay team, something about them. The wild card, Todd Bowles has the potential to be the playoff MVP for the second week in a row because you have eloquently spoken about it many times, but we've all seen it now. Todd
Mhm.
Bowles is going to have something prepared for the Detroit Lions, and it could give Jared Goff some real problems. And the other person that's playing with absolute my apologies, absolute reckless abandon is Baker Mayfield. Baker
Mhm.
Mayfield has basically been Jared Goff of the South. And he has nothing to lose, and he's playing like it, and he's playing loose. You can tell by the way that he looks. He's pranking people on the sidelines. I saw him. There was a clip of him pretending to take a drink, and he's just squirting one of his teammates in the face.
He's
He's
squirting the athletic trainer in the face. Yeah.
yeah. He's having a good time out there. And when
Yeah.
a team with some of the weapons that Tampa Bay has, we know about Godwin, we know what Mike Evans is. Their running game has been surprisingly good. Rashad White has done enough to make their running game competent. Their defense has played, I think, above expectations this year. When you have a team that is playing this loose, they are dangerous. They are
Mhm.
dangerous. I give Detroit the slight edge in this game, and I want them to advance because I don't want this run to end for Lions fans. However, I think this has the chance to be an upset.
Yeah. Looking at this team, both teams. Look, we talked on Tuesday about how the Buccaneers defense showed up, and Todd Bowles can send the Wolves. Yes, that's a rhyme. I'll let you have it. Todd Bowles sent the Wolves against the Eagles. I think he'll do the same against the Detroit Lions. Although I would have to argue that the Detroit Lions offensive line is a lot more stable than the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line was. But then again, the offense of the Philadelphia Eagles was absolute garbage over the last month and a half. And their defense was as well. I think the edge goes to Detroit based solely on the fact that it's going to be at home. It's going to be at Ford Field. But like you said, Dustin, Baker Mayfield, he's the type of guy who takes bulletin board material. And I'm gonna give him his. It takes something that the other team says about him. It makes it into bulletin board material and just lets it stew up inside and just it motivates him. It fuels him. And I've affectionately given him the nickname Bulletin Board Baker, Triple B, Bulletin Board Baker. In that he takes whatever the other team says about him, if they're taunting him, if they're saying mess about him, he takes that and he puts that energy into his play, and it makes the other team pay. And I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was during his rookie season or the season after, see the 2020 season when he's on the bench and he's sitting there and he's talking to his guys and when he was a member of the Browns. You gotta remember, he's a cast off not only one, not two, but three teams. Three teams cast him away. He was a former number one pick, number one draft pick. And now he's in he says he wants to stay in Tampa Bay for the long term. Just based on the fact that A, he's having fun, and B, he's got a pretty good squad around him. I mean, think about it this way: he's got Mike Evans as his wide receiver. He's got Rachaad White as his running back. Look. Rachaad White is probably one of the best under the radar running backs in all of football. He's also got Chris Godwin. He's got Palmer, who emerged as another weapon last week.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he's got a pretty good defense behind him. And we talk smack about how Todd Bowles is a better defensive coordinator than he's a head coach. Listen, he knows how to put other quarterbacks through the ringer. He did it a couple years ago in the Super Bowl when he put Patrick Mahomes through the ringer. Did it last week when he put Jalen Holmes through the ringer. He has potential to do it this week. I'm curious to see how the Detroit Lions will counter the Buccaneers defense. On the other side of the ball, look, the Lions. They have a very good offense. We've got a very good offensive line. They have a balanced attack between the run and the pass. And I did some real-time research, Dustin. Aiden Hutchinson was drafted second overall in 2022.
Oh, second. Okay.
Second overall. Yeah. And I'm looking through this 2022 draft class. This is a pretty dang good draft class, man. You got Aiden Hutchinson potential. I think he's going to be I don't know if he was voted all pro this year, but he's got that potential to be an all pro. Derek Stingley, he's in the playoffs. Sauce Gardner, all pro. Kayvon Thibodeau. We won't talk about I don't want to talk about Evan Neal to the New York Giants fans. That's a whole other story. Drake London, who showed promise this year. I think if he gets the right head coach, we'll talk about the coaching carousel in just a few moments. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams in the playoffs. Kyle Hamilton, Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. I mean, you've got a good amount of players from this 2022 draft class that are playing in the playoffs right now, and they're excelling.
Yeah.
And I think this could be if the Lions play their cards right on offense, this could be a breakout game for Jamison Williams. He's part of that balanced attack for the Detroit Lions, and but he's got the potential to have a breakout game. Don't forget, these two teams met in October.
Yeah,
these teams met in October, and I think it was the only game this year that the Buccaneers broke out their old creamsicle uniforms with the pirate on the helmet, and those are the awesome uniforms. Unfortunately, it didn't work out well for them, but it went up being a 20-6 win for Detroit. I think this game is going to be a lot closer. And actually, Sick Diggy actually asked the question, what are the chances of Buccaneers Lions being a complete dogfight? This is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be smash mouth. They're going to punch each other in the face. It's going to be, as what Jim Ross calls, a slobber knocker. Slobber knocker. And I'm rooting for both teams. I'm rooting for Detroit more because I want to see a Rust Belt Super Bowl between either Baltimore and Detroit or Buffalo and Detroit. I want to see that Rust Belt Super Bowl because seeing Bills fans in Vegas with the tables in the parking lot of Allegiant Stadium, man, that would be so much fun. But this is going to be an absolute dogfight. This is going to be a slobber knocker. This is going to be the potential to have the best game of the weekend. And I'm excited for this game.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how excited you are.
Oh, completely excited. I'm very excited for Texans Ravens today, but I'm also extremely excited for this game, but also nervous because I am rooting for Detroit in this one. No questions about it, because I think it would be great to see Detroit represent the NFC in the Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
The Niners are going to have something to say about that, but
yeah. But I think Niners Lions is evenly matched in my opinion, but that's just me. Speaking of people I've who have come back to the come back from the sewer. Dave says good morning. He also says boo, go Pack, go. He also says Packers Lions championship. We'll see. We'll see.
NFC championship. Wow, that's
He also
NFC
says
North.
Packers Bills Super Bowl. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe Dave, you can use DraftKings. Use our promo code and lay a little cheddar down on the line there for that. Because if that hit, you'll be doing well.
DKNG.co/BellyUp150. A $5 deposit gets you $200 in bonus bets, Dave. Check us out. All right. The last game of the dock on the weekend slate of games, Kansas City, another game that has the potential to be game of the week. Kansas City at Buffalo, Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Buffalo fans been waiting for this game for a very long time, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
2020, the 2020 AFC Championship. They go to Kansas City. Buffalo goes to Kansas City, and they get absolutely slapped around. They get absolutely, they get their face put in the carpet. Let's put it that way. 2021 Divisional Round. 13 seconds. 13 seconds. That's all I'm going to say. 13 seconds, and it made the rule change for overtime going forward with the Chiefs scoring first and basically punching the ticket to the AFC Championship. We skipped last year because Buffalo got absolutely trounced by the Bengals in the divisional round. But this year, because of Kadarius Toney lining up offside, this game is not in Kansas City. This game is in Buffalo. And it changes the dynamic for the entire game. Now, Buffalo Bills fans, again, they've been waiting. They've been waiting for this game. They've been waiting for this game for a year, over a year. I'd say 2 years. They've been wanting they want the Chiefs in the playoffs. They're confident their team can beat the Chiefs. I'm confident their team can beat the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs offense, they do just enough. They're not as explosive as they used to be, although their running attack is very good. Their receivers outside of Travis Kelce, even Travis Kelce is starting to slow down just a skosh. I don't really trust their receivers a whole lot.
Yeah,
which gives
a lot of drops.
On the flip side, on the flip side of that, Buffalo's defense is a little bit banged up right now. However, this matchup is going to be between the Bills offense that's been a wagon the last 2 months after they replaced Ken Dorsey with Joe Brady, take a load off of Josh Allen, the running attack, bringing James Cook to be the primary ball carrier. The matchup to watch is going to be the Bills offense versus the Chiefs defense. We know how good the Chiefs defense is. We know how they shut down Miami last week, and you can blame the cold. The fact of the matter is it's going to be at least 30 degrees warmer in Buffalo than it was in Kansas City last Saturday. So Kansas City has that going for them, but it's in front of the Bills. It's in front of the Bills fans in Orchard Park. And last week my nephew was at the game on last Monday. I wonder if he's going to be at the game this week. I'll see. I'll talk to him and check it out. But yeah, this game is going to come down to what Buffalo's offense does against the Chiefs defense. And this has the potential to be, again, another instant classic. Dustin, what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with what you said. I think the fact that it is in Buffalo changes. There are two key changes that are huge in my mind, and you hit on both of them from the previous Buffalo Bills losses against the Kansas City Chiefs. And one is that the game is in Buffalo. I think that changes the dynamic. It was very cold in Kansas City last week, so I'm not going to say that the Chiefs can't handle the cold weather, because they can. They are not going to have the issues that Miami did. Sorry, Miami, you tried to send that message. It was a failure. Miami had issues in the
frauds.
Frauds. Yes.
Frauds. They were frauds.
But I will
Sorry,
say that,
I'll tickle my throat. Sorry.
but I will say the other big change, and you hit it on the head, because I think I'll do a little prognostication, but I think that if Ken Dorsey is still the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, they would lose this game.
It wouldn't even be in the playoffs.
But well, yes, yeah, that is true. But I'm saying, he was the offensive coordinator for all those Bills losses against the Chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
and Joe Brady has done amazing things with the Bills offense. The other reason that I give the Bills the slight edge is two factors. One, as you hit on, the Chiefs offense isn't what it has been in the past. Kansas City
Mm-hmm.
fans can say what they want, but it's true. You miss Eric Bieniemy. It is evident. I thought Andy Reid would take over offensive play calling duties, but he seems to just keep going with Matt Nagy. From what I understand, I'm an outsider. I don't have much Chiefs knowledge,
Bears
but
fans, Bears fans everywhere are throwing
yeah,
up.
yeah, they've
What you
thrown up.
said.
Sorry, Chicago, but the Bills' offense is improving, but the other big thing is that the Bills have basically had to play playoff football uh, for the past few months. One could argue to make this run to get into the playoffs. It was tenuous for the Buffalo Bills, as it was if they did not beat that Dolphins team. There was a scenario at one time where they could have been bounced entirely from the playoffs. So the Bills have had that playoff mindset for a while now, and they're finding their stride at the exact right time. The Chiefs, on the other hand, it's been a little bit rocky. They had to play wild card weekend for the first time in quite some time. Patrick
Mhm.
Mahomes has had a down season by his standards. Again, you put another quarterback in there, if it was, say, Jordan Love or Geno Smith, or not comparing Jordan Love to Geno Smith, but I think most people get where I'm going. Matthew Stafford, any one of those quarterbacks, you'd say this was a decent season. But by
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes standards, this is down from where he is. And as you said, you cannot trust the Kansas City Chiefs receivers at all. They've had way too many drops in big moments. You're going to have to rely on the running game, which Isaiah Pacheco does run angry. Isaiah Pacheco does run well, but he's also
Mhm.
slight and has the potential to get injured because of how hard he runs.
Yep.
So there's a lot of, but Steve Spagnuolo is going to have that Kansas City Chiefs defense ready, but I think Buffalo has enough to overcome it this time. However, I still think this is going to be an amazing matchup. Looking at it, we don't do predictions, but by my mind's eye, I would give Buffalo the slight edge for most of the factors that I just laid out here. But you can't predict the NFL, and the Chiefs are arguably the best team in the NFL until somebody knocks them off. Until
Yep.
somebody else comes up, and there are teams that have played better than the Chiefs this year, unquestionably, but they are the Super Bowl champions. You have to knock them off before you can stake the claim to the title there.
I forgot to ask a question, Dustin, and I just want to get your point of view on this. We'll go back to the Tampa Bay Detroit game. Is the weather going to be a factor in Detroit?
That was
I have to play that clip because it's just
yeah, yeah, that's
gold. Good gold. All right, I found it. Let me go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. Let me go ahead and play this clip. There was this reporter, and I don't know the backstory of it. Whether she is a beat reporter or if she's filling in for somebody or if she's just um, someone who covers other stories, but she got put on this particular beat for the day. This was an actual question asked by someone at a press conference on, was it Tuesday? I think it was
yeah,
Tuesday.
I think so.
She asked Todd Bowles this question in a press conference.
Coach, looking forward towards Detroit. The weather has been a factor in some of the playoff games, even for the most prepared teams. Today, it's 13 in Detroit, which doesn't compare to some of the temperatures we've seen it drop to. Any special plans to acclimate the team to not only endure but perform in those kind of frigid temperatures should you face them in Detroit?
You do know we play indoors, right? They got a dome. I don't.
His look.
Nothing planned. We're indoors, and we only have to be outside for 20 seconds, getting off the bus, going under the thing, so we'll be okay.
Wow. Wow.
I will say, at least Todd Bowles didn't completely light her up for that. You know, there are some coaches that probably would have tore her apart. He handled
Nick Saban would have just absolutely had a field day.
Yeah, but don't get me started on Saban. I have major issues with him from the way that he handled his departure from the Miami Dolphins. I always will. People say I can hold a grudge, but he did it to himself because he called for the reporter's job and said that the reporter was spreading lies. And then guess what happened 2 weeks later? He's at Alabama. So GTFO, Nick Saban, for that one. Don't call for somebody's job when they're reporting what is true. I mean, he went in on the guy. From that moment on, I had major problems with Nick Saban. Major.
You keep asking, I ain't going to tell you. There's always that clip too. Before we quickly go on to the coaching carousel of the NFL, let's just take a look at the comment section. Dave continuing continuing here. He says he actually go back here. He says cheddar. Is that a Wisconsin cheese joke? Yes, it is, and it's pronounced cheddar. He says not fans, Bills Mafia. You already know that. Dustin is right. Casey's offense is missing a step. Hey, I said it too, Dave. Yes. Don't be that guy. Any given Sunday, more than just a movie. A bad pass, a random interception can turn any game around. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it happened last week. It happened last week between your Packers and the Cowboys. There, Dave. Oh, it also says Dustin, you're the best. Ryan, meh.
Oh,
whatever, Dave. Whatever, Dave.
He's coming with some shade for you.
Your grammar sucks. It's YOU''RE. Gee whiz. All right. Coaching carousel.
Got some of Ryan's articles expertly written on bellyup.com.
You got that right. NFL coaching carousel. Let's take a look at some of the coaching news from this past week. And let's start with New England introducing Gerard Mayo. They formally announced him this week as the head coach of the team. And I mean, I don't know if you could say that we saw this coming, but it was just interesting that the fact that they let go of Bill Belichick, and the next day they say, "Oh, Gerard Mayo is our coach." I mean, from what I understand, they had this in place. They've had this in place since October, so Kraft can they basically they didn't have to go through the Rooney Rule in interviewing coaches of color. They just said, "All right, we're just gonna pick Gerard Mayo, and then we'll be on our way." So it was interesting that they formally introduced him this past week as the coach of the New England Patriots.
And from what I understand, they have supposedly, the rumor is that Belichick's sons have an opportunity to stay with the team. I don't know if any headway has been made on that, but Gerard Mayo has come out and said that particularly Steve Belichick, I believe it was, he had a great relationship with and enjoyed discussing aspects of the team with Steve Belichick. So, I mean, who knows if Belichick's sons will stay there. I would lean towards no, because they're probably going to follow their dad to wherever he goes, and he will go somewhere. That is the way I feel about it. But this, I just don't understand how this was. If they've had this in place since October. I don't know whose idea was it to not mention it at all. It was probably Bill Belichick's. He wanted to keep the focus on the team, just knowing the way that he conducts himself. But also, I have to wonder if you say this from the beginning, and then their season goes the way it did, could they have said, well, Gerard Mayo has input on the team now. He's the coach in waiting. How much of this was his fault? So I think part of it might have been a way of shielding him so that Belichick would then take all the blame for the season that they've had on his way out the door. Who knows? You can't you can't try to project your way through these things. We don't know what was going on in those rooms.
No, and we never will. We never will until somebody like writes the book on it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of wonder if they're gonna give Mayo control of the team, or they're gonna hire GM. I haven't heard from that end what they're gonna do there.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And yesterday, I gotta give credit where credit's due here to Mark Davis, who actually used his brain for once, and he removed the interim. He removed the interim tag from Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce is now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, and I couldn't be more happy for him. Because we saw this a couple years ago when Rich Bisaccia led the Raiders to the playoffs, and Davis said, "Nope, I want somebody else." This time around, he listened to the players, which I think was most important. He listened to the players. I mean, Max Crosby threatened to request a trade if Antonio Pierce didn't come back. Devontae Adams was lauding over what Pierce did this year in their turnaround. They went 5-4 when he came on board as the interim coach, and he earned this. He definitely earned this. Earned the chance to coach the team next year. So I'm happy for a Raiders fan in general, because this was the guy who led the team last year, who was basically the leader of the team this year, and brought them back from a really bad situation, stabilized the team, stabilized the defense particularly, and employed a run style, a very smash mouth running style offense. And now he's there to stay, and they can build a team, mold the team into and create a good culture, mold the team into how he wants them to be. And I'm happy for Raiders fan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thrilled that this finally went the way that we both thought it should have. Thrilled that for once Mark Davis did not make the same mistake. And the next big change that he should make is, hey, Mark, how about changing that haircut up? I still can't believe you pay for that thing. But anyway, congratulations to Antonio Pierce. Even as the most outside casual observer of the Raiders, it was clear that the players rallied around Antonio Pierce. He immediately changed the whole vibe of that team and the culture once he took over. To do a change, to do an about face like that and put your imprint on the team as fast as he did is pretty impressive. And also, I think the key thing is Antonio Pierce. I don't know how old he is. I would have to do some real-time research, but he was a player not too long ago. So I have a feeling that a lot of players could relate to him that way and also respected what he was saying, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because he was a great defensive player in his own right for the New York Giants for a long time. And the whole thing he's done with the cigars after you could tell he brought some looseness to the Raiders locker room that was much needed after the just dumpster fire that everything appeared to be under Josh McDaniel. If he gets another coaching chance in the NFL, I'll be just apoplectic about it. I don't understand. He just has stumbled so many times, not to mention the time that he literally stood up the Colts on the podium. Chris Ballard is there ready to announce him as the head coach, and he's just not there. to return as offensive coordinator for the Patriots. Now, you can't argue he's a good offensive coordinator, but enough about him. Back to Antonio Pierce. I'm thrilled that he has this job. I can't wait to see what he does with this Raiders team. And also, when you have stars like Devontae Adams coming out and saying what a good job this person has done, and also you have Max Crosby basically saying Antonio Pierce is my guy, you better listen to your teammate, to your team there, unless you want anarchy amongst the players. So congratulations, Antonio Pierce.
Yeah. So I did the research. Antonio Pierce is 45. So
Okay.
he's it looks like he can still play.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part. He looks like he still can play in the NFL. So yeah, congratulations to Antonio Pierce. He is the now full-time head coach. The interim tag has been removed. Great job. Good job, Mark Davis. Give me credit where credit's due. Atlanta and the Los Angeles Chargers have both interviewed Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh, and Bill Belichick has had a second interview with Atlanta. So I personally think that the Falcons announcing Bill Belichick will be very imminent. I think he and Arthur, I don't know, from what I understand, he and Arthur Blank must have had a really great conversation. I think the first interview was like a Zoom interview, and the second interview was in person. The Falcons flew him in to meet with Arthur Blank. So I'll be curious to see how many. I think sometime next week he'll be announced as a head coach. As for the Chargers, I guess there's a previous relationship with between Harbaugh and Dean Spanos, the owner, because Harbaugh played his final 2 years in the NFL with the San Diego Chargers. Go back to San Diego, by the way, Mr. Spanos. Go back to San Diego. You get some goodwill there. Stop playing in that SoFi Stadium. Could you see Jim Harbaugh as head coach of the Chargers or the Falcons? And if not, is this just a play for a bigger contract with the University of Michigan?
Well, that's the big question. I feel like I could personally see Jim Harbaugh as head coach of the Chargers. It makes sense. He played there. I always have to wonder if some of these college coaches that have coached in the NFL previously want another shot at the NFL. A la Pete Carroll, he always said he wanted another shot at the NFL, that he would do things differently, and he had a plan for when the Seahawks came calling. Now, the other factor was the scandal at USC. Can't forget that. That probably helped with his exit. But Michigan is going to give all the money to Harbaugh to get him to stay. And that's where the factor could be different, because I don't know this for a fact. Okay. But the vibe that you get from the Chargers is that, how do I put this delicately? Spanos does not spend the way that some of the owners do. So you have to see. But from a talent standpoint, Harbaugh, former quarterback, he could do wonderful things with Justin Herbert. They have some pieces on defense, of course. Of course, they have Austin Eckler, but he had a very down season this year by his standards, and he is getting older. So who knows if he's still the back that he's been? But they have Keenan Allen, seemingly an ageless wonder. They have Mike Williams, who when he's not injured, he has done very well. But so from a talent standpoint, I could definitely see it. I just don't know if Spanos is going to lay the kind of money out that Harbaugh could get from Michigan. The Falcons, I don't see Harbaugh as a fit for the Falcons. Reportedly, I think Mike Vrabel has also had he's had an interview. I do not recall which team it has been with, but I think he also has interviews set up for the Seahawks and the Chargers. I think both teams are interested in talking to him from what I hear. I am hoping personally that Mike Vrabel becomes the new head coach of my Seattle Seahawks, but I don't know where that will go. But I could see, it makes sense to see John Harbaugh in LA I just wonder, how badly does he want another shot at the NFL?
Yeah, I think with Jim Harbaugh, it's going to be he's going to want full control, and the fact the one thing that he's going to enter into one if he decides to go back to the NFL and if he goes to the Chargers, he's going to enter a situation where he's going to he's going to be coaching a team whose window is closing very, very fast. This is an older team. This is an older squad, and they're going to be in, I believe they're going to be in salary cap hell if he decides to take over, because there's a lot of contracts. There's a lot of contracts on that team that are just C players are overpaid. I think that Dustin Herbert contract came too soon. I know they want him as their quarterback of the future, and he's very talented. Unfortunately, he was injured. He broke a couple of fingers on both his hands this past year, and Brandon Staley kept him in the game. I mean, the one game where he broke his left pinky finger, Brandon Staley kept him in the game. Yeah. You're not going to see that with Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh knows as a player, as an ex-quarterback, that he needs his quarterback to be healthy, and I think he's going to surround him with an offensive line who can keep him upright. But there's a lot of bloated contracts on that team. Either they're going to have to make some moves where they're going to have to cut loose some older players who are making too much money, like a Khalil Mack, and he's got to figure out. I don't think he necessarily blows up the team, but I think what he'll do is he'll do some retooling in some places, bring in some veterans who can help, especially in the offensive line, who can help keep Herbert upright and keep him healthy. You've got some great talent on both sides of the ball. You just need to figure out how to motivate them to play better, and also need you need to figure out how to keep Justin Herbert upright. And it's going to be if Jim Harbaugh decides to leave the University of Michigan and go to the Chargers, it's going to be a rough year, maybe first 2 years, as they get things figured out, and he molds the offense into what he's been familiar with his system. I mean, his system at Michigan worked. His system at Michigan worked with a heavy run game and explosive offense, and they have an explosive offense when they need to, and he had the best defense in the country last year too. So I think it's going to take at least a year for him to turn it around, and I think they can turn it around. But Chargers fan, all one of you, is going to have to be very patient with how he handles things. So we'll see. As for the rest of the vacancies, Atlanta's open, Carolina is open, but who's going to want to coach there? Chargers are open, and Seattle is open. And we have a fellow Seahawks fan from Belly Up Fantasy Sports, Kevin Wilson, says, I agree with Dustin. Vrabel, come on down to the Seahawks. He agrees with you.
Yeah, it's just what I hope. I had read something that, because apparently from the candidates that have come out, that have supposedly emerged after John Schneider's press conference, his first press conference, sans Pete Carroll as coach of the Seattle Seahawks, it's a mix of offensive and defensive minded potential head coaches candidates, and it's skewing more towards the defensive side if all the reporting is to be believed. And Mike Holmgren, former Seahawks coach, came out and said, hey, we need an offensive guy now, after Pete Carroll was a defensive minded head coach. He said he thinks the Seahawks should go in a offensive direction. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I just feel like Mike Vrabel, he's a great head coach. If you're going to get rid of Pete, Vrabel would be a good person to bring in, also because of his age. Vrabel is a younger guy, and I think he would do well with the pieces that we already have. So I'm hoping Mike Vrabel. I don't necessarily agree with Coach Holmgren. All respect to Mike Holmgren, though. He is a Seahawks coaching legend. I just wish you didn't say to that referee before Super Bowl XL, I hope the game's not too big for you. Why did you do that? watch the A Football Life, Mike Holmgren. He talks about he regrets that decision, but he knew that referee from when the referee used to do high school games with him. He said, I said it kind of as a joke. I wanted it to be interpreted as, hey, look where we both ended up. But yeah, didn't work out too well.
Yeah, well, hopefully better days are ahead for most teams except for the Patriots. All right, before we take off, we want to remind you about our social channels right down here below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. Which you will go ahead and give us a like, comment, share, and subscribe on all of our platforms. On the podcast side, subscribe on a myriad of podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, the soon-to-be departed Google Play, wherever you podcast, rate, and review. Give us a 5-star review if you wouldn't mind. And also, if you're on a platform where you can review the podcast, we'll even read it on the air. And Wonka the Same checking in before we log off. Thank you guys. Have a great, have a happy football weekend, all. Wonko, we also acknowledge, we also pass those greetings on to you.
Yes.
You have tuned in to No Credentials Required, the Saturday brunch edition, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports or eat brunch. We are presented by Belly Up Sports in association with Godzilla Media. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Enjoy the divisional round of the NFL, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday to react to those games. So we'll see you on Tuesday.
Good morning, everybody.